Netflix is all set to release an American limited series on the real-life story of Jeffrey Dahmer. Starring Evan Peters as the infamous serial killer, the series is going to release on October 21st. In this video, we take a look at how acting the role of Jeff Dahmer severely affected Evan Peters. Stay tuned! Evan Peters' latest project is proving to be hard on him. The actor stars in the Netflix series about the infamous killer named Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. It's widely acknowledged that Peter makes an impressive performance as Dahmer, a sex offender who murdered 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1991. Despite complaints about the film's, quote, gross, unprovoked content, it's set to premiere on Netflix this month. In an interview, Evan Peters says he studied Dahmer in depth and made one interesting observation. After reading the script, he called writer and director Ryan Murphy and said, quote, Dahmer seems almost regretful, guilty, and confused. Peters told Netflix that there was a sense of disorder in this character. Peters said, quote, he doesn't have the winsome, devilish smile. He's alone, unfriendly, and almost detached from what he did, end of quote. Peters added, quote, I instantly went to YouTube, watched the NBC interview, read biographies, and discovered his admission and police report, end of quote. Dahmer's last interview describes his motives and why he committed the murders. According to Peters, quote, the whole thing was jaw-dropping, and it felt important to tell the story as authentically as possible while being respectful to the victims and their families, end of quote. One of Dahmer's victims who escaped and survived has never recovered from the horror. Defense attorney Paul Kisaczynski doesn't need to watch Netflix's Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story to understand the lasting trauma the serial killer has caused. His former client, Tracy Edwards, escaped Dahmer's Milwaukee, Wisconsin home on the night of July 22, 1991. He flagged down a passing patrol car on the street. A pair of handcuffs hung from one of Edwards' wrists as he told officers Dahmer had tried to kill him. A subsequent investigation led police to an apartment full of preserved human heads, body parts, and photographs of mutilated men. Police said Dahmer confessed to killing 17 people since 1978. At the time, Edwards was hailed a hero for helping police capture the, quote, Milwaukee cannibal, and his story is chronicled in the Netflix series. It's worth noting, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, tells the story through the lens of those affected by his criminal activities rather than by focusing on the murderer himself. This is a refreshing take on the genre, as most dramas based on real and dangerous people toe the line between retelling events and romanticizing them. Fortunately, in this case, the exact opposite is occurring, as the cast has been open about their experience with the production of the series. Peters, in particular, has come forward about the process which saw him become the killer, and precious little of what he has to say can be misconstrued by even the most ardent true crime apologists. In an interview shared by Netflix's YouTube account, Evan Peters shared a familiar struggle, stating that portraying the serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer deeply taxed him. He said, honestly, I was very scared about all the things he did, and diving into that and trying to commit to that was absolutely going to be one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life because I wanted it to be very authentic. But in order to do that, I was going to have to go to really dark places and stay there for an extended period of time. End of quote. Peters is putting in the work to ensure that his projects are as good as they can possibly be. And maybe that's the only important takeaway from this, because anything else sounds suspiciously like someone complaining about one of the coolest jobs in the world. While the role forced Evan Peters to go to some dark places, the actor was always wary of making sure his character was presented in an honest and very unflattering light. That said, he wasn't the only person involved in the creation of Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story who felt this way going into the series. Peters explained, during the aforementioned interview with Netflix, Peters revealed that co-creator Ryan Murphy had one with this project: never glamorize the titular serial killer. According to Peters, not portraying Dahmer as a protagonist means that the audience can't see his point of view and potentially sympathize with his plight. It's called the Jeffrey Dahmer story, but it's not just him and his backstory. It's the repercussions. It's how society and our system failed to stop him multiple times because of racism, homophobia. It's just a tragic story. Everybody gets their side of the story told. Overall, the goal was to detail the experiences of his victims and others involved in the disturbing case. Peters said that Dahmer's story is, quote, so much bigger than the serial killer, and that's what the show's cast and crew hopes viewers take away from the series. Well, that is all for this video. Hope you enjoyed watching this one. Thanks for watching.